The Snake Fist clan specializes in the snake fighting style of Kung Fu. For the past 100 years, the Snake Fist clan has been in competition with the Eagle Claw clan, which specializes in eagle fighting. The Eagle clan has made it their mission to kill every member of the Snake clan and completely eliminate the fighting style. Starts with Shang Quan, the master of Eagle Claw, challenges one of the last surviving members of the Snake clan. The two fight using their own fighting styles, but it is clear that Eagle Claw is stronger than Snake Fist. Shang Quan vows to kill his opponent and end the Snake Fist legacy. However, it is revealed that a Snake Fist master named Pei is still alive. Shang Quan kills his opponent and continues to search for his last and only opponent, Pei. Meanwhile, Bai lives a humble life as a beggar. He barely makes any money and survives on scraps. One day, while sleeping on a hammock made of a single rope, someone bursts into the room and startles him. It turns out that the landlord has brought in a thug to evict Pei. Since he hasn't paid the rent in a month, they search all over the room for money but find a snake instead. While they are distracted, Bai quickly grabs a bowl of rice and a pair of chopsticks and runs outside. A gang surrounds him and attacks him. Using the bowl and chopsticks, Bai defends himself without much effort. Although his opponents are armed with knives, his chopsticks are able to overpower them. One of the thugs bumps into Eagle Claw member, Su Chun, as he tries to run after Bai. When Bai slaps him, Su Chun realizes that they have just encountered a member of Snake Fist. But by then, Bai has long since disappeared. We are then introduced to the film's protagonist, KungFu. He is an orphan adopted by a quirky, quick-tempered kung fu teacher named Li. Li takes advantage of scamming innocent students, promising to be a kung fu master when his skills are only average. He often physically abuses KungFu and makes him do all the cleaning. KungFu wants to learn to fight, but even though he works at a kung fu school, he is never given the chance to train. One morning, Li is taking a break while the students are training as usual. KungFu watches them and tries to imitate their movements, forgetting to sweep the floor. Li notices him and beats him with a stick. To further annoy the kid, he walks around with white powder under his shoes, meaning he has to sweep the floor twice. Later, Li uses KungFu as a prop to teach his students a new form of fighting. He orders KungFu not to dodge attacks and sets him up as an example. This is not the first time KungFu has been used to make himself look like a kung fu master. KungFu is beaten up repeatedly, but he has no other way to make a living. The only one who sympathizes with him is the school cook and even offers to put medicine on his wounds. Elsewhere, Pai ends up in front of another kung fu school in town and decides to take a break. Inside, a wealthy businessman and his obese son, Lap Pan, have come to check if the school is good enough to accept Lap Ban. The headmaster brags that the trainees are the best in town, but Lap Ban is not convinced. He orders one of the students to break a stack of 3 bricks with one blow. The student does as he is told and manages to break them all, but as soon as he is out of Lap Ban's sight, he screams in pain as he clutches his hand, which is now turning blue. Moments later, Lap Pan tries to shake his hand and realizes that he was just pretending to be strong. The father and son leave to get accepted into Li's school instead. Afterwards, the students see Pei resting outside and take out their frustrations by beating him up. Pei does nothing to defend himself, afraid that someone will notice his presence. KungFu sees this and stops them from hurting the poor old man. When the students attack him, Pei uses his tricks to make KungFu fight. He stands behind KungFu and pushes him so that he can dodge the attacks. During the fight, a Russian missionary notices Pei and rushes towards him. In reality, he is a spy hired by the Eagle Claw clan to find and eliminate the last surviving member of the Snake clan. Pei notices him and escapes with KungFu before he can be captured. KungFu then brings Pei to the school and makes him tea. He also asks the old man to stay the night because he must be injured. Pei is impressed by his kindness. Meanwhile, Lab Ban and his father meet with Li, who brags about his training. Lab Ban doesn't believe him and asks him to break 3 stacked bricks. Li laughs at him, stating that he can show them real fighting instead of just breaking bricks. He calls KungFu over and orders him to take a beating from one of his students. Lab Ban watches excitedly as the fight begins. KungFu gets beaten up again, but he can't dodge the attacks, afraid that he will have to starve to death the next day. Eventually, Lab Pan is impressed by KungFu's opponent's skills and agrees to accept him into the school. KungFu returns to Bai with several cuts and bruises on his face. Embarrassed, he runs to his room. Chef Bai tells him that it is common for KungFu to get beaten up every day. He is used as a display puppet to maintain the school's reputation. To lighten his mood, Bai places a bowl on his head and asks him to try to get it. KungFu tries his best, but Pei is so skilled that he doesn't let him touch the bowl even once. The next morning, KungFu wakes up to find that Pei is missing. He notices a message on the wall that vaguely talks about the skill of dodging. Outside, Pei has also drawn a pattern of steps for KungFu to follow and learn the tricks from yesterday. In fact, the tricks are the basics of the snake fist technique. Using the message and the steps, KungFu understands what Pei is trying to teach him and begins to practice. He is a talented fighter and learns the technique in a short period of time. Elsewhere, Pei runs into the Russian missionary and follows him to find out his true intentions. However, he soon realizes that it is a trap when Su Chan stops him from the eagle claw and challenges him to a fight. The missionary and Su Chan go against Pei, but he manages to escape after tricking them. However, he is seriously injured after the commotion. Meanwhile, Lap Ban's father comes to the school to check on his son's progress. Li asks KungFu to endure Lap Ban's beatings, wanting to use him as a puppet again. But this time, using Pei's techniques, KungFu dodges all of his attacks. He even makes Lap Ban bump into his father, causing them both to fall to the ground. Eventually, Lap Ban and his father run the other school. An enraged Li beats KungFu repeatedly to humiliate him. KungFu runs away from the school and accidentally bumps into the injured Pei. He takes him to a shed and treats his wounds. Elsewhere, Su Chan meets the Eagle Claw clan's top official, Shang Quan, and tells him all about his encounter with Pei. We then see KungFu taking care of Pei until he gets better. After discovering that KungFu is able to learn the technique through drawings alone, Pei agrees to train him in the snake-style Kung Fu. His only conditions are that KungFu will not call him master, will not use the training to show violence, and will not interfere when Pei fights his opponents. KungFu accepts all the conditions and begins training. He works hard day and night, learning the techniques in a short time. Over the course of a few weeks, Pei gives him increasingly difficult tasks, but he shows unparalleled growth and perseverance. One day, he is slowly sweeping the floor in school when Li sees him and decides to annoy him as always. He steps on white powder, but before he can stand on the floor, KungFu slips under his feet. Li tries his best to trick KungFu, but he is faster due to training. While they are wrestling, a group from the rival school bursts in. The leader of the group is the new 3-province Kung Fu champion. He is angry that all the other schools in the city have sent him gifts to show respect, but Li has not. Thus, he challenges Li and his fellow teacher to a match. Li is reluctant, but with all his students watching, he has no choice but to accept. The state champion wastes no time before beating them up, proving that they are just a group of swindlers who only know the basics of Kung Fu. KungFu wants to help them, but since he promised Pei that he would only use his skills for defense, he stays out of the fight. After the two are defeated, the students follow the state champion to the rival school. Later that day, KungFu is cleaning up when the school's former teacher, Master Hang, returns from a trip. He was the school's principal until Li took over. Angry at being defeated by their rivals, he walks over to the rival school and challenges the state champion. They engage in a fierce fight, both of them evenly matched in skills, but in the end, the state champion defeats Master Hang and doesn't stop attacking him. KungFu finally intervenes, which angers the champion even more. He attacks him several times, demanding that he respond. Now that KungFu is able to use his training for defense, he doesn't hold back and starts fighting him. Everyone is shocked to see that a mere janitor is giving the state champion a hard time. Master Hang is also surprised since he didn't know KungFu could fight. From the entrance door, Shang Quan is also watching them. He sees KungFu's technique and recognizes it as the snake fist technique. Since only one person from the clan was still alive, he is sure that KungFu knows where Master Pei is. After defeating the champions, KungFu and Hang return to their school. At home, KungFu finds a letter from Pei saying that he will be away for a few days. Along with the letter is a book on snake-style fighting. KungFu rushes to the shed to see Pei, but the old man has already left. At that moment, Shang Quan, who has been following him up until now, asks him if he knows Pei. When KungFu confirms, Shang Quan lies about being Pei's friend and asks KungFu to tell him when he returns from his trip. He also insists on keeping his arrival a secret from Pei as he wants to surprise his old friend. The naive KungFu believes him and agrees to help him. Upon arriving home, he sees his pet cat fighting a snake. Although the snake appears more dangerous at first glance, it proves to be weak against the cat's claws. This gives KungFu the idea to mix the claw technique with the snake fist technique to make it even more dangerous. Elsewhere, Pei returns to town and is immediately confronted by Su-chan. Su-chan initially pretends to be dead and then attacks him with a knife. Pei is believed to have been stabbed, but it turns out he was prepared to dodge the attack. They get into a fight where Pei overpowers him with his experience and kills him. Afterwards, he goes to meet KungFu, who is overjoyed to see him back. They ask the chef for tea, but the man mixes poison in it. At that moment, KungFu remembers Shang Chuan and rushes to tell him of Pei's arrival. But when they return to look for him, Pei has already fled. Shang Chuan predicts where he is going and runs after him while Chien follows them. On his way, he is stopped by the Russian missionary who wants to kill him. They get into a fight where the missionary gains the upper hand with his sword. KungFu's clothes are torn, but he still manages to defeat him in the end. Elsewhere, Pei meets Shang Chuan. He is tired of running and wants to fight to end the century-old rivalry between their clans. The fight begins, and at first it seems they are evenly matched in experience, but Shang Chuan quickly overpowers him and is about to kill him before KungFu interrupts them. To save his master, he asks Shang Chuan to fight him instead. Pei tries to stop KungFu, knowing that he is not trained enough to defeat Shang Chuan. But he does not back down. They soon charge towards each other, and KungFu immediately manages to scratch his opponent's face with his new invention, the cat's claw technique. Through a combination of the snake's fist and the cat's claw, he creates a unique deadly technique that defeats the eagle's claw in no time. In the end, Shang Chuan is also defeated. As the master and student are about to leave, the chef approaches them and attempts to stab KungFu. Pei effortlessly stops him and asks him why he did that. It turns out that he is also a spy from the Eagle's Claw clan. He laughs, realizing that they are about to die from the poison he gave them earlier. However, KungFu reveals that he switched the tea because it was too hot. In the final scene, the chef remembers drinking the poisoned tea. The poison begins to take effect, and he dies instantly. In the final scene, Pei praises KungFu for inventing such a powerful new technique. Thanks for being with us this far.